This changes everything for the New Jersey Devils' future. Maybe you're feeling a little bit down today about last night's game. Good feeling this news will pick you right back up. Let's chat. Welcome in to Devil's Digest. Feel free to click the subscribe button. Vancouver Canucks president Jim Rutherford talked to the media today, specifically on Quinn Hughes. Basically, Quinn Hughes has said before he wants to play with his brothers. That would be partly out of our control, in our control, if we brought both brothers here. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. Look, Quinn Hughes, top 2 defenseman in the NHL. One of the best players in the NHL. One of the most dynamic players in the NHL. Devils defense has a problem creating offense. Yeah, that problem would be solved. It would be solved quick. That's the type of player Quinn Hughes is. Now, when you look at it from the Devils' standpoint, do you bring Quinn Hughes over? Yeah, it's pretty clear. I mean, obviously, you want to bring Quinn Hughes over. You look at players like that. I mean, obviously, they're dynamic. They're one of the best. He's one of the best players in the NHL. He's going to cost money. Whether you do it through trade, whether you do it through, signing him in free agency, he's going to put money towards your cap. Now, when I look at that, and that's, I guess, people want to say, they can't make it work. They don't have the cap for it. I kind of look at it and go, you're telling me a top 2 defenseman, one of the best players in the league. You already have his other 2 brothers who are both, one's already a superstar, one's turning into a star. When you have those things, and you're telling me, well, you can't make it work. The Devils are in a tight, cap situation. You're telling me you're not going to make room for one of the most impactful players in the NHL because you have other players that you got to get signed. That doesn't make much sense to me. It's almost like it's the GM's job to work the cap, to have a good team with it. And getting in Quinn Hughes, yeah, it makes the Devils a little bit better. Go ask Chuck Fletcher how that worked out in Philadelphia when he didn't want to sign Johnny Gaudreau. Basically cost him his job. Because he didn't feel like the team was there, didn't want to give him the type of money, even though Gaudreau was going to sign for less. It's a general manager's job. Obviously, the morale would be up in the room with Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes, and Luke Hughes all on the same team. The team would look better. The power play would stay great. It's just an all-around win-win situation for the Devils. And they want to make it work. Quinn Hughes wants to be a Devil. There's a lot less competition. It's kind of like, when you want pizza at 2 a.m., you and your friend want pizza, and you got a DoorDash, and the only thing that's still open is Domino's. You know where you're going, but because there's no competition. Quinn Hughes wants to play with his brothers. The Devils have 2 of them. I know Jim Rutherford goes, it's partly out of our control, in our control, if we can bring both brothers over here. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. That seems like a lot more moving pieces, especially, Jack Hughes is going to have his contract coming up. Luke Hughes, you got to decide, do you want to go bridge? Do you go long-term? I've said it a bunch of times. I'm going long-term. I'd sign him, 8 years, $9 million. That's what he wants. I would work with that. That feels good with me. So when you look at the situation where the Devils and Canucks are in and Luke Hughes wanting to come play with his brothers, it makes a lot of sense that it would be New Jersey. Now, looking at Quinn Hughes' contract right now, because, I went out and I said, salary doesn't matter as much with players of his caliber. It's still, something to look at. Right now, he's getting 7.85. Obviously, his next contract, it's going to be a little bit more than 7.85. But it's a general manager's job to make that work. So obviously, you find a way to make that work. He's up in 2027. He'll be 27 when he's up in 2027. Definitely looking for a pretty nice pay grade, to say the least. But when I look at this team and I look at where the Devils are at, I guess the question is, with Jim Rutherford saying something like this in the media today, do the Devils wait till 2027 or do they get this done this summer? Now, there's two ways I look at it. I'm going to start off with, you wait till, 2027, contracts ran out, he's 27 years old, you bring him over then. Obviously, you're not giving up assets. There's no assets that have to be given up. Still relatively young, 27 years old. You have both the other brothers. You know maybe a little bit more about how your cap's going to look because you know exactly what type of signing he's going to sign. Because right now, 7.85. You'll know exactly what you're going to get Quinn Hughes at. So that's where you look waiting down the line, waiting until summer 2027. You go ahead and do it now. What does it look like? Well, my trade would be something along these lines. I think you have to give the Mets back. I mean, Vancouver, they're going to lose a defenseman. They don't have a ton of good young defensive talent. I think the Mets obviously is one player going. Dawson Mercer looking like a project. I'd send him too. One of your first round picks and possibly another pick going the other way. Now, there is leverage here with New Jersey. Like Vancouver does not have the leverage right now. New Jersey's the better team right now. They have the assets. They have both brothers. New Jersey has all the leverage here. Even though Quinn Hughes right now is under contract in Vancouver, the leverage is all with New Jersey. Now, so when you look at that and you look at the type of things that they'd have to give up, yeah, they can't completely lowball Vancouver, but you probably can give up a lot less. Because Vancouver kind of, is coming to terms from what that, press conference sounded like from Jim Rutherford. They're not in a driver's seat. Quinn Hughes, as of right now, is a New Jersey Devil in 2027. At the latest, he's a New Jersey Devil in 2027. So if you're looking where Rutherford's at and where Vancouver's at, they probably are at some point going to figure out, we can't get this done. We got to find a way to make a trade. We got to find a way to make it valuable to New Jersey to go ahead and take him now. Now, when I look at that from New Jersey's standpoint, and you go, well, we can just get him for free. Not free, but you don't have to give him assets in 2027. When I look at it from that standpoint, I do have to go back to, where the Devils are at. You have a contending team right now. You're injured, obviously, in the playoffs this year, but you have a contending team. Being able to add Quinn Hughes right away and, give up players who aren't going to make the same type of impact. Simone Nemec isn't even in the lineup right now. Dawson Mercer's had 2 down years. When you can do all of that and bring in a top 10 player in the NHL, it definitely, starts to be a little bit more appetizing. You see where your team's at. You've seen your defense, struggle to create goals this season. Dougie Hamilton's going to be up soon. It definitely feels a little bit more like, we can bring him over right now and we can contend with Quinn Hughes right now. There's definitely a little bit more, urgency for New Jersey to do it. Now, like I said, the Devils are in the driver's seat. They kind of have all the cards. So do they do it? That'll have to be we'll have to wait and see on that. But I wouldn't put past Tom Fitzgerald to go ahead and say, you know what? We have a contending team right now. We can bring Quinn Hughes over here right now. Let's go ahead. Let's go do it. Let's go bring in a top 2 defenseman. I mean, before I end the video, just want to bring up, his numbers real quick. He's a 4th defenseman in NHL history to have 4 straight 60 assist seasons. Past 2 years, he's been over a point per game player. He gets better every single season. I mean, you can go ahead and look at the numbers. These are elite numbers. I mean, just watching the player play, you can tell he's an elite player. The numbers back it up. The numbers back up his play. His play backs up his numbers. You'd be getting a top 2 defenseman in the NHL, a top 10 player in the NHL. And like I said, you are in the driver's seat. But when I look at the Devils team, and I look at, some of the things that they struggle with, creating offense on the defensive end, Dougie Hamilton going to be up soon, and, making a pretty nice amount of money that comes off the books. When I look at all of those things, I don't think it's unreasonable to give up a player who is not in your lineup right now. to give up a player who has struggled the past 2 seasons, to give up a future first-round pick who isn't even part of your organization yet. I don't think it's unreasonable, and I think Vancouver, now, obviously they don't want to know this, but at some point they probably do have to come to terms with that, Luke Hughes is going to come over to the Devils. So, Vancouver's standpoint, at some point, they have to be like, this is a business, and, you got to try and get the best buck back. And doing that would be trading away Quinn Hughes. Now, we'll have to wait and see if Vancouver decides to do that, or if, they wait until they keep trying to contend. I mean, down year this year in Vancouver, there's some issues there. Brock Boeser sounds like he's out. They had to trade out JT Miller, Rick Tocchet. We'll see what happens with him. Elias Pettersson down year. There's clear issue in Vancouver, and I mean they got to get it right by 2027. And like we said earlier, right now it seems a lot less about the dollar and more so Quinn Hughes wants to come play with his brothers. Devils in the driving seat. Let me know what you think. Do you want to see them bring him over earlier on, offseason? Is this an offseason move, or do you wait till 2027? Let me know. I can see both. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll get more developments on this, and we'll wait and see. So playoffs, game 2 tomorrow night. I'm sure we'll get some stuff out there on that. But let me know in the comments. Hopefully you guys hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys all real soon. All right, see you guys.